Have you ever looked back on a conversation and thought, that wasn't really me? Or had a meeting or a conversation with a loved one or even driving and looked back and didn't really remember much of it at all? As though you were there, but not really there. And you know you were there, but you can't really remember it. Maybe there was a time when you said yes and you really wanted to say no, leaving you feeling quite disconnected. Or you noticed whole chunks of your life blurring together as though you're just going through the motions. This isn't just about zoning out or getting distracted. It's dissociation, and it can have a real impact on all areas of your life. Today, I'll share how you can begin to notice it and come back into control and presence. If I haven't met you before, my name's Lou Lockman. I'm a trauma coach in the US and a trauma psychotherapist in the UK. I have been working with really deep trauma and fragmented selves, resulting in things like dissociation, for the past 30 years. I help people come back to themselves and step into the lives they want, have more control and ease in their lives. Thank you for being here. I know dissociation well because it was my survival strategy. I was raised in a really high control environment in a cult where abuse and neglect and expectations to act in a particular way were rife. My nervous system learned very early that the other options of survival, like fight or flight, weren't an option. I had to stay and I had to figure it out. Freeze was my only option. And freeze is what dissociation is. That floaty feeling, that feeling of being outside of my body, became habit. And it wasn't a habit I left behind when I left the cult, because it was my survival strategy. For years, I said yes when I wanted to say no, and I was more and more disconnected as a result. I used to describe it as I was like a leaf in the wind. But here's what I want you to know. Dissociation isn't a character flaw. It's not a weakness. It's a survival strategy. It's your nervous system protecting you the best way it knows how. It allowed you to keep your sanity. That's a good thing. When we're overwhelmed and fight or flight isn't possible, then we freeze. Dissociation is part of that freeze response. It's your system saying, this is too much, and I will protect you by zoning you out and checking you out. The problem is that zoning out doesn't change when circumstances change, because we still get triggered into it, or we still have that belief system inside that says, that's what I need to do in order to survive. As adults, we may keep zoning out, we may keep freezing, even when we really want to stay in action, even when we really want to be present in our lives. We lose presence when we most want connection. We feel out of control of our choices and reactions, and then our futures. It can keep us quiet when we want to speak out, compliant when we want to resist, stuck when life is asking us to move forward. If you're recognizing yourself, your dissociation and all of this, and want a way to move forward, I created a resource that's down below. I've used it with countless clients too. It's a PDF I created specifically for dissociation called Meridian Tapping for Dissociation. It's a gentle step-by-step guide you can use anytime you feel yourself freezing up or you're worried that you will freeze up. You can do it in advance, you can do it after. It's very gentle. It also has a great evidence base. And honestly, this practice really saved me from my own dissociation. Just try it and see how it goes. So what does it look like to begin unfreezing your life? In my healing circles and workshops, I take people through very simple and steady practical steps because we need that. You'll learn to recognize the early signs of dissociation, notice what happens when you do dissociate, think about the ways in which you hold boundaries or don't, learn to recognize the early signs that you're beginning to leave your body, seeing what boundaries in yourself you may have breached that meant that you needed to say no, building simple anchors like touch, breath, attention that can help you to come back into your body, that bring you back in gently, redirecting your energy so you can act from a place of choice, not old trauma responses. These may sound simple, but over time they change everything. When you practice these steps, you start to learn and your system will respond. You'll find time doesn't blur quite so much. You speak up with more confidence. You're more present in relationships. Most importantly, you begin to trust yourself. Now, I want to pause here and address a couple of things I often hear. People ask, but maybe what I'm experiencing isn't dissociation. Maybe I'm just distracted or forgetful. This is such a common question, but the truth is, distraction happens to everyone, but dissociation has a certain quality. It's like you're not quite there. You're not quite present. It feels like an absence, like you weren't quite there, even if you can't explain why. And if your system is doing that, it's not a sign that you're just bad at focusing. It's a sign that something in you is trying to protect you. Or you might think, but I don't remember any trauma. Does dissociation even apply to me? Yes, it does. Because your body and your nervous system remember stuff that your conscious mind doesn't remember at all. So it's important to pay attention to that. Yes, dissociation can happen even if you don't have clear memories. The body and nervous system remember things the conscious mind can't access. So if you notice yourself checking out often, it's not proof nothing happened. It's proof your system is still carrying something that once felt overwhelming. And a final question I often hear, shouldn't I be able to just push through this and stop this from happening? I want to be very clear. Dissociation isn't something you can willpower away. It's about creating safety so that your nervous system doesn't have to shut down. That shift takes time, compassion, and practice. It's absolutely possible. So instead of fighting dissociation, I invite you to see it as a younger part of you that's trying to keep you safe. Those parts aren't your enemy, they're your protectors who need care and reassurance. The real path forward for you isn't control, it's creating steady ground. When your body learns that safety is possible now, those protective parts can finally relax and loosen. So if dissociation has been shaping your life, remember, you don't have to stay stuck on autopilot. You can learn to unfreeze, reconnect, and live fully in your life. Don't forget to grab the free resource I mentioned, Meridian Tapping for Dissociation. The link is right below this video. And in the next video of this series, we'll dive deeper with what happens when dissociation takes over your life and tools you can use to gently bring you back. So if you're ready for the next step, I'll see you there.